up. The major story surrounds Jamal Musiala, the number 10 for Bayern Munich, who goes down showing signs of fainting for a second time in 4 days. Happened as well against Leipzig at the weekend, and now it happens again. So here's what Jamal Musiala posts on Instagram. First thing first, I'm doing well. I'm incredibly grateful for your messages and your support. I understand that many of you are worried. I want to put those worries to rest today and explain the situation. I've been diagnosed with brief, temporary but treatable absence seizures caused by a neurological dysfunction. These can lead to the kind of moments that occurred recently, such as during the match against Leipzig or now in Heidenheim. I know they might look scary at first glance, but for me, they're currently just a part of my everyday life. I'm receiving excellent medical care for this and remain very optimistic. So those are the words of Jamal Musiala. He would go on, importantly, there is no further health risk involved. In close consultation and regular contact with the experts, it was my personal wish to face this challenge head on. With the medical clearance of the neurologist, I want to continue doing what helps my recovery the most, simply living my daily life and pursuing my passion for playing football. I have taken full responsibility for this decision. Overall, I feel very positive and I'm on the right track. At the same time, I ask for your understanding regarding my wish to keep the details of this matter private, sharing them only with my closest circle, the club, and the medical experts. Now, for more on this, we want to bring in our injury expert, Marty Jaramillo, to discuss this. Now, Marty, can you explain what he means by these neurological incidents and how would a player deal with this?
Well, I'm so glad to be here. First off, every now and again, sports gives us a moment that transcends the game. This is no longer about wins, losses, or performance. Today, it's about the life, the health, and the well-being of this young man, Jamal Musiala. And it's so important to understand that because he was so candid with his words and talking and discussing his health, which is typically a private matter, but he shared it with the world. So let's talk about the first time it happened a few days ago, when a very healthy young athlete faints on the field. Well, that could be simply circumstantial. Heat, exhaustion, fatigue, hydration, any one or combination of those events. But when it happens a second time, well, that's called a pattern. And when it's a pattern, 100% all hands on deck to uncover the root cause of this. So to the eye, any kind of fainting spell is typically a loss or temporary loss of blood to the brain, and we call it sometimes the curtains get pulled down. This, to the eye, is exactly the same, but the cause is neurological. He called it a potential seizure situation. So in this case, it's same, what we see to the eye, the fainting spell, but it's, let's call it a flickering of the lights, and then the lights go out. That's a nice way to, not try to downplay anything, but it's a nice way to understand what's going on. It's really a short circuitry, a temporary short circuitry of the brain in that moment. Now, they're not only going to be doing a multitude, a myriad of tests, neurological, cardiac, physiology, every number and every system, especially how the systems work together. He seems very confident, which gives us the same confidence. Our thoughts are with him, his family, his team. A very serious situation indeed, but we got some answers today.
I guess, Marty, the question would be is how do the club and how does the player handle this situation? Because as you say, it is 2 times in 4 days. Does that require a little bit of a step back and everyone goes, we need to figure this out, how we're going to handle this in the longer term?
Yeah, that's a great question. Everyone steps back. The entire team behind him take a step back to get to the root cause. He appears to have some answers already, but let's call that a hypothesis of what we think is happening, but we still have to go back to the beginning and uncover everything, test everything. It'll be some time before he gets that clearance to play again, because it puts so many people at risk. Obviously, no one more than him, but for the medical staff to have to address a situation when there's nothing worse to be on the field addressing a medical situation where you're essentially intervening blindly. And it is thankfully to the experience and the knowledge of the medical staff, they were able to manage him perfectly and professionally and got him into safe hands. All that said, there's more things that we'll learn in short time. I'm very confident with these type of seizure type of conditions. There's many, no need to speculate what those may be, but typically medication, lifestyle, and various other interventions will help. But let's not ignore the fact that for today, for the professional footballer, there's no longer a season. The season is all year long between travel, the various teams, traveling to various climates, the workload, the practice load, the game load. It is something that has to be discussed for the health and safety of all players.
Yep, well said.
Yeah, we saw him at the World Cup as well here in the United States, playing for the German national side. Marty Jaramillo with the latest on Jamal Musiala. Appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us. And that is Marty there with the latest there on Jamal. Here from a medical point of view, I guess the most obvious question off the back of it is, well, we just saw this happen to him on Saturday against Leipzig in a 93-degree day in Munich. Why was he playing 4 days later?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the game's completely changed from when I played even 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's so different now. Now you're recognizing that everything's pretty much monitored, right? Your heart rate's monitored, your GPS, how far you run, everything's monitored. But how do you monitor the brain? I don't think you can. Obviously, trying to understand every single body, every single individual, how their body moves, how their body reacts, what training they need. They're all science projects now. This is no longer a group training session. This is no longer a group game. It's actually down to the individual science. So each individual trains differently. Each individual has a routine of what they follow through. And obviously, we have to also remember what this individual, Musiala, has gone through. Terrific player, world-class player, I'd even go as far as to say. We know his ability. But he has actually gone through a serious injury a couple of years ago, now coming back, not even a couple of years ago, now come back. He's gone through surgeries to be able to get back healthy again. And the extensive training to be able to rehab a serious injury, obviously a leg break, is very difficult. And it's stressful. It's stressful not only on the heart, not only on the muscles, it's stressful also on the stress and anxiety of your body, your mental. People often forget about the mental health of the game. They forget about the fact that the brain is a unique thing. We all act differently. We all think differently. But do we actually protect our players enough? Because all I see is more and more games, more and more training sessions, and I understand they're following every single movement they make. But at the same time, there is something you cannot mess around with, and that is an individual's health. This is a human being we're talking about. Someone's son, someone's brother, it's someone's friend. You have to protect the human being a lot more than we are doing in our game. I love the game. I know it's a financial game now, but at the same time, with these types of individuals, you have to be incredibly protective. So what I would see now from Bayern Munich is that they've got to rest him and find out exactly what's going on with his body before he even steps a foot back on a training pitch, let alone an actual game.
Yeah, and we saw in the statement as well, it's sort of an interesting dichotomy because you're talking about the spirit and being overworked. But one of the things that he said is, I've discovered this is a problem. I want to keep living my normal life, and part of my normal life is playing football. And I do think that sometimes when you talk about that issue that happened with the injury, where a rehab is a very difficult thing, requires a real mental fortitude, that really the only option is to keep going and to test your perseverance. And I think his idea is to try and solve this with perseverance, and that might not necessarily be the answer.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can only speak for myself. I've been on a pitch where I felt like my heart was about to explode. I've been on the pitch where I gone dizzy and I couldn't see. I went black. I was seeing dots. Like, I've been on the pitch and fainted. Like, I have been in that situation. It's not nice. And sometimes you simply just don't have an answer as to what just happened to you. But for it to happen twice in quick succession is a real concern for Bayern Munich. They obviously cleared him to play in this game. I mean, he only came on the pitch. He was only on the pitch for 9 minutes. And then this happened. So let's not forget the fact that this is obviously something that's serious. He clearly understands that there's something going on with himself. But Caesars are no joke, right? You've got to really be protective here. And I think Bayern Munich now understand the seriousness of this. They're probably going to take the power out of his hands to put himself back on the pitch. And now for Bayern Munich, you've got to respect the fact this is a human being, and you've got to protect yourself as well.